Most people are lying to you about laziness. They whisper the same tired script. Work harder, wake up earlier, push through. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Some of the most dangerous minds in history were lazy. Not lazy in the way teachers complain about. Not lazy in the way productivity gurus shame. No, they were lazy in a far more dangerous way. They were allergic to unnecessary effort. And if you listen closely, you'll realize something unsettling. The world is quietly divided between two types of people, the grinders and the architects. The grinders push harder. The architects build systems where pushing isn't necessary. One burns energy, the other controls it. And one of the richest men to ever live, Bill Gates, once admitted something that sounds almost like a joke. He said he preferred hiring lazy people because a lazy person will always find the easiest way to do the hardest thing. Why? Because their brain refuses to waste energy. Now, think about that for a second. What if the voice in your head calling you lazy is actually misunderstanding something deeper? What if the real problem isn't laziness at all, but misalignment between your brain and the systems you're forced to live in? Because here's the first secret most people never hear. You are not lazy. You are overloaded. Picture this. Inside your mind right now is a tiny version of you. Simple, focused, calm. But behind that small version of you, there's a mountain. A collapsing mountain made of unfinished tasks, messages you didn't answer, goals you haven't started, expectations you didn't meet. Every time you try to move forward, that mountain shifts. It creaks. It threatens to fall. So what do? You freeze. Not because you're weak, but because your brain sees danger. Psychologists call this cognitive overload. Your mind isn't refusing effort. It's refusing pressure without structure. And that distinction changes everything. Because here's the hidden paradox. The people who look the laziest on the outside are often the ones thinking the hardest on the inside. Their brain is constantly analyzing, evaluating, calculating the most efficient path, which means their biggest enemy isn't work, it's chaos. Chaos steals energy before action even begins. You know the feeling. You open your phone, you scroll, but in the background, your brain whispers, what about that thing you didn't finish? What about that message you never replied to? What about that goal you said mattered? Your body is resting, but your mind is running 100 invisible programs. It's like a laptop with 50 tabs open. The fan is screaming, the battery is dying, and you haven't even started the task yet. This is why so many ambitious people feel exhausted while doing almost nothing. Because they're not tired from action, they're tired from anticipation. And anticipation is expensive. So before we talk about productivity, we need to talk about something more dangerous, your mornings. Because the war for your day is decided in the first 10 seconds, not the first hour, not the elaborate influencer routine with green juice and sunrise yoga, just 10 seconds. When you wake up, your brain is still soft, still quiet, still programmable. But what do most people do? The alarm goes off, and immediately the brain floods with yesterday, stress, guilt, unfinished tasks, expectation. Your mind wakes up already behind. And when your brain starts the day believing it's losing, guess what happens? It stops trying. But imagine a different beginning. You wake up, one slow breath, and one sentence. Today is a new file, not yesterday's. 10 seconds. That's it. No discipline, no pressure, just a reset. Because your brain is like a whiteboard. Most people start their day with yesterday's chaos scribbled across it. But when you consciously reset, you erase the noise. Suddenly, the day doesn't feel hostile anymore. It feels open, possible. And something subtle begins to change. Your brain stops bracing for impact. It starts looking for direction. But direction requires something most people are terrified of, choosing one door. Let me guess something about you. Whenever you decide to be productive, you try to fix everything at once. You wake up motivated, and suddenly your brain becomes an unrealistic project manager. I'll clean the room, finish my work, start a business, call everyone back, drink 8 liters of water, learn a new skill. 10 doors, 10 expectations, 10 directions. And what happens next? Nothing. Because the brain hates races it knows it can't win. So instead of starting, it stalls. Here's where the one task rule becomes dangerous. One meaningful task. Just one. Not the easiest, not the hardest, the one that moves your life forward even 1%. And once that door is chosen, everything else becomes optional. Bonus. Extra credit. Freedom. Why does this work? Because clarity creates energy. Chaos destroys it. Imagine a hallway with 10 open doors. Your tiny inner self stands frozen. Too many choices, too much pressure. But now imagine every door disappears except one. Suddenly, movement feels possible, even easy. And once you move, something powerful begins. Momentum. Because here's a secret most people miss. Your brain hates starting, but it loves continuing. The first step feels heavy. The second feels normal. The third becomes automatic. This is why a 2-minute start can change everything. Not finish the project, just open the document. Not clean the whole room, just pick up one object. Tiny motion. But motion breaks the stillness. And once the stillness breaks, the brain does something surprising. It keeps going. Not because you forced it, because it's already moving. Momentum beats motivation every time. But momentum has an enemy most people underestimate: your environment. Because your brain is lazy in a very intelligent way. It chooses whatever's closest, easiest, already in front of you, which means the room around you is secretly deciding half your behavior. Phone within reach? Scroll. Snacks on the table? Eat. Goals buried in a notebook somewhere? Ignore. So the architects of their own lives do something different. They design friction. Make the good path smooth. Make the bad path slightly annoying. Put the journal on your pillow. Put the water bottle beside your desk. Move the phone charger across the room. Tiny environmental nudges. But the brain always chooses the path of least resistance. And suddenly, the lazy brain begins doing the right things by accident. But there's still a moment every day where even the best system breaks. The afternoon. The dangerous hour when energy collapses. When your brain whispers the most seductive lie of all. Let's just try again tomorrow. And that moment, that exact moment, is where most people quietly lose their future. But what if the afternoon wasn't the end of the day, but the beginning of a second one? Because there's a tiny reset almost nobody talks about, a 30-second reboot that can bring a dead day back to life. And once you understand it, you'll realize something shocking. You were never lazy. You were just missing the reset. And in part 2, we're going to expose the hidden psychology behind the lazy genius mindset, the identity shift that turns quiet efficiency into unstoppable momentum. Because once that identity changes, laziness stops being your weakness. It becomes your greatest strategic weapon. And the question waiting for you is simple: are you a grinder or an architect?